Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Here's a bonus episode for you, friends. Before I tell you about what's to come in this episode, I want to give Sindee Gozansky a huge thank you for connecting me with today's guest. If you don't know Sindee, she is a therapist in Portland, Maine, and she's also the founder of The Whole Therapist, which is an online community to help therapists deal with the unique issues we face in work and life. And when you join the Whole Therapist community, you connect with other therapists to support your practice and your lifestyle through lessons, resources, coaching, Q&As, and discussions. It's an amazing group, and I hope you check it out. So Sindee connected me with today's guest, Dr. Bill Hudenko, who is a research assistant professor in the Department of Psychology and Brain Sciences at Dartmouth College, an adjunct assistant professor of clinical psychology at Dartmouth's Geisel School of Medicine, the Chief Executive Officer of Voy, Inc., and the President of Trusst Health, Inc. So a few years ago, Dr. Hudenko noticed a proliferation of telehealth platforms that were beginning to use messaging-based intervention to help people with mental illness. After reviewing the literature, he realized that there was almost no information about the efficacy of this method of intervention. So along with his colleagues at the University of Washington and the University of Pennsylvania, they received funding from NIMH to conduct a randomized controlled trial of messaging-based psychotherapy for those with serious mental illness. They trained about 8 clinicians, worked with around 40 patients in the treatment arm of the intervention, and monitored over 12,000 messages in the study. Last year, they completed the study and revealed improvement across every metric, including a reduction in depression, anxiety, and even psychosis. Following this study, he decided that the timing was right to commercialize a messaging-based intervention that could dramatically improve affordability and accessibility of mental health care while increasing therapist revenue. They launched Trusst just last year, and in the first 6 months, they expanded to over 23 states. They trained all of their clinicians with their NIMH-backed approach, but they also allow an incredible amount of flexibility for clinicians to conduct treatment in the way they think is best. Also, unlike their competitors, they allow clinicians to onboard their own existing patients or to shift back and forth between in-person and remote care. And with so many of our peers looking for ways to continue to provide therapy and counseling services within our new normal, Bill's company, Trusst, is one more tool we can utilize to help our patients and clients continue to receive care while at a physical distance. Listen in to hear all about his messaging therapy research findings, how therapists are using the platform, and how you can become a provider. Trusst is on a mission to transform the delivery of mental health care. We hope you'll enjoy them in making care more accessible, affordable, and practical for everyone involved. And they are currently looking to bring on more providers. And they are giving 1 week free. Yes, sign up for 1 week free of message therapy with the code FREE1W. You guys, this is all in the show notes where you can learn more about the company, about Dr. Hudenko. Listen in to today's episode. It's a bonus. We hope you enjoy. We hope you find value, and we hope you look into Trusst. It truly can help our patients and clients. Enjoy this episode. Hey guys, before we dive into this week's episode, I want to tell you about a group I've created on Facebook. It's called the Talk Therapist Lounge, and it's a place where we talk therapists can find podcast guest opportunities. That's right, if you're a licensed talk therapist and you are looking to grow your reach and visibility, this group may be a place for you to start. I'm working to bring in podcast hosts who are wanting to interview licensed clinicians that can share their expertise and knowledge with their audiences. Why should you be a guest? That's a really good question. Let me tell you, people are crawling all over the internet, listening to podcasts and watching videos on mental health issues. My mission is to help spread the word about mental health treatment and help lower the stigma around mental health. And to do that, we need to get you guys out there sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom, and how you help people live their best lives. and it may help grow your brand and visibility and possibly help you gain new clients. I also share how to create a podcast guest one-sheet and tips and ideas for getting yourself booked on shows. So will you come join us? Look for the Talk Therapist Lounge on Facebook. I hope to see you there. Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and this episode is a bonus episode in addition to my weekly releases. And I wanted to invite Dr. Bill Hudenko onto the show today. So welcome to The Therapy Show, Bill. Great to have you.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. So I would just love it if you jumped right in and shared a little bit about who you are and what it is that you are doing in regards to telemental health and the state of what's going on right now in the world and in our country.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, I wear a few hats. I am a professor of psychological brain sciences at Dartmouth College and a joint appointment in psychiatry in the medical school. I've been a professor for many years, and I also have a background in computer science and coding, and I'm a licensed psychologist. So
Cool.
About 2010, I really became interested in the intersection between technology and mental health. And I started thinking about what could we do to really enhance the delivery of mental health care. Mm-hmm. So in 2012, I started my first company. We created a product that was really around collaboration and providing care beyond the session that someone has with a therapist. Mm-hmm. And sold that company, went to another. And this is the third company that I'm involved with right now called Trusst. And Trusst was really created because we noticed, my partner, colleagues and other researchers, that there was a lot of work being done by a number of different telehealth companies in messaging-based intervention. And it was just becoming more and more common that people would use that to work with patients. And yet there was almost no literature about, did it work? Right. And so we wanted to do a more formalized study to try to figure out, can this be a viable form of intervention for people with mental illness? Mm-hmm. I partnered with some colleagues at University of Washington, University of Pennsylvania. We got NIMH backing to run the first randomized controlled trial, meaning that there was control participants and the treatment group. We recruited a number of people who had serious mental illness. We developed a treatment manual and trained about 8 to 10 clinicians. And then we measured them at the time of the start and then 3 and 6 months follow-up.
Okay.
And the idea was, with this texting intervention, could we see an improvement across a number of outcomes? And we did about 12,000 messages over the course of the study. We coded every message. We made sure that our therapists were using the treatment. And what we found was that there was a pretty strong improvement across almost every metric. So we saw a reduction in depression, reduction in anxiety, improvement in psychosis. So really amazing results. And we're now involved in a larger scale study to look at this nationally. But it sparked my mind in thinking, this may actually be what could help us to solve the problems of access to mental health care in this country and affordability of mental health care. And so we launched this company last year with the objective of seeing, could we make a commercial product using this science that we had built around how do we do message-based intervention. And I'm very excited to say that it's really taken off. And in only about 5 or 6 months, we've expanded to about 23 states. We've gotten funding for an entire college population to use the tool, and it just keeps growing. And we're really involved now in building a whole digital ecosystem of care that kind of, in many ways, reinvents what's possible around how you might provide remote treatment to someone.
So awesome and so exciting. So exciting. So you and I were chatting yesterday about Trusst and what makes it different from what is currently out there. From a therapist perspective, I love that it's a messaging app. And that's all it is, correct? Like there's no video involved. It's just pure messaging, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it's an important distinction because some of the other competitors that are out there do offer messaging as well, but they also offer audio and video. And unfortunately, audio and video does not allow therapists to see any more clients.
Right.
right? Because they're still only going to see, let's say, a maximum of 30, maybe 40 clients a week if they're on a really heavy caseload. And also, unfortunately, people don't tend to value those remote sessions usually as much as they do in-person sessions. So you're not even compensated as much.
Right.
Whereas with our platform, a clinician can see about 10 to 15 patients in an hour.
Yeah.
So the scalability is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And our service is asynchronous. So the therapist has to respond in under 24 hours. There's no emergency services on the platform. And because of the messaging part of the intervention, there's no documentation required because it's all stored on the server. So huge advantages for clinicians. We can compensate them really well for the work they do on the platform. In fact, I think better than any other platform. And instead of focusing on just the audio and video part, we also are building in these technologies like artificial intelligence to help clinicians know how to better respond to patients. And then the last thing I'd tell you is that because our mission is to really build trust with clinicians, that's part of our name, and build trust with patients, we're really focused on giving clinicians maximum flexibility with our tool, which also means that clinicians can see patients in person and use our service. So we provide a way for clinicians to give clients a code so that they can have kind of private clients. And that means they can message as part of termination. They can help people on their wait list. They can use it as an adjunct to in-person treatment that they're already doing. We are all about just putting technology tools in clinical hands that will enhance care.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so excited about your platform. I do have a question. I don't know. Do some of the therapists just message their clients, or like can clients come on just as wanting messaging only?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've actually seen the population that has really taken to this most in our group has been between 18 to 25.
Okay.
So a lot of college students and, younger people, I think it's just becoming more and more common that a way of communicating for them is messaging. And because of that, many of them feel comfortable initiating the relationship with messaging.
Yeah.
So we offer, again, we're flexible. So some clinicians start messaging with someone, and then there comes a point where they say, you know what, we should really meet. How about you come and we'll take a session? And for that, sometimes people do individual sessions in person for a while. Sometimes they just do a single one and then they go back to remote. It really varies a great deal. But the basic answer is yes. And I can also tell you that we've seen a lot of really interesting things happen because of messaging. And for example, we see college students talk about things that typically they wouldn't seek help for because of that increase in anonymity.
Yeah, I think that's great. And what about older populations like baby boomers? What have you noticed about them?
Yeah, well, this actually goes back to a question you asked before around what's happening right now. So what we're starting to see is because of the coronavirus in particular, there's a lot of people who are at home right now.
Right.
A lot of people who are working remotely or who are home with their kids and so on. And, a lot of people even who were engaged in individual psychotherapy and now can't because they now have different responsibilities and everything is shifting. And so we're starting to get this influx of new people who are older because they see, wow, this is a great way for me to, when I'm pulling my hair out and I'm frustrated at home and I need to send a message, that I can be in contact with someone who understands and who cares and is able to help me.
Yeah.
So I think that there is more reluctance for older people to not have that more in-person, at least initial exchange. But I think we may actually see some societal shift because of what's happening right now.
I agree. Yeah. And I think I was just telling my husband this morning. It's like, this is a really big shift for us and the future of mental health. And it's necessary right now for us as therapists to think a little bit outside the box, kind of let go of maybe some biases that we held about using technology for helping people, and just use it for the good and see it as the thing that's next. I mean, we all kind of saw it coming, but it honestly, like this, it takes some type of crisis or epidemic or pandemic for us to really jump on board. I mean, I'm seeing in all these, I think you're in there as well, these Facebook groups I mean, there's so many of them where therapists are coming together and they're like, okay, now I have to do it. I have to take that jump to telemental health. If I want to keep seeing people, I have to do it. So tell me how to do it. And so a lot of my peers are jumping into it. So I'm grateful for your platform and for what you've created. If a therapist is listening today and they're wondering how they can get involved with Trusst, where should they go? What should they do?
Yeah, we try to make it as simple as possible. So if you just go to our website at Trusst, TRUSST app,
Mhm.
there's a link on the top to become a provider. Just start filling out the application. It just initially requires you sending confirmation of your license and letting us know about your practice. And especially in light of the really strong demand right now, we're turning clinician applications around very, very quickly. So
Okay.
for some clinicians, we've gotten people on within a week and started on the platform after review. So all clinicians are required to do a training because we like to meet them. We want to make sure that they understand how the platform works, and we want to train them on what we know about the science behind message-based intervention. But it's a pretty slick process now, and it doesn't take people long to get online.
Okay, that's great. Do they need any type of, CEUs from anything to kind of start with this, or they can just jump in and you guys train everybody up and
Yep, they
okay.
can jump in, no CEUs required.
Okay. And if someone who's listening would like to become a patient or a client of Trusst, what do they do? What do they do?
Yeah, so to learn more, they can also visit our website, but we have an app that's downloadable on Google, on the Google Store or on the Apple App Store.
Mhm.
So just search for Trusst with two S's. We also try to make that really easy where you just download it. And the first thing that you're confronted with is it asks you where you are. So it'll match you with a therapist in your state. And then it'll show you a list of therapists who have open spots. You select your therapist, make your account, and you're good to go.
Oh, wow. And you can cancel anytime if you want.
Yes. And that's actually another difference between our service and some of the others is that we actually offer a week-long subscriptions or month-long subscriptions. And the reason for that is, and pricing for those who want to know. So a week is $55
Mhm.
and a month is $199. And the reason we allow that week-long subscription is because, we want people to try it and see maybe if they like it or don't without a larger commitment. But also more importantly, we think there's a lot of people out there who would like consultation on
Mhm.
things. And traditionally, it's very hard for those people to find a person to talk to get questions answered. So, for example, let's say my brother has bipolar disorder and is suicidal, and I don't know what to do. Traditionally, that person, if they're not struggling with the mental health concern themselves, if they were to seek one of us out as a clinician and say, "What do I do?" The first thing we do is turn around and say, "Well, what's wrong with you?" Because I can't bill for that.
Right.
Whereas with this service, for $55, you can be talking with a licensed therapist 5 days a week
Mhm.
and getting advice and thoughts about how do I manage this very complex mental health care condition, which I think is an amazing access point. And also, I think it's a very reasonable cost for all parties involved.
Yeah. I really like how you think about that. I hadn't considered that. So that's a really good point. I really like that. So you could just log on for a week or two, get what you need. And so it doesn't always have to be clinical. It can be consultation. Hey friend, want to be more comfortable while sitting on the therapy couch? I sure did and went looking for pants and tops that were soft, wrinkle resistant, and would match just about anything I already had in my closet. And now Zaya Active makes up about 80% of my wardrobe. Would you like to learn more? Head over to my site, lisamustard.com, and click on the Activewear tab. And don't think this is just for women. They have men's and kids' clothes too. And our family is loving the quality, and I am loving the price tags. So head over to my site to check it all out. What about coaching? I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
No, we don't have kind of licensed coaches or coaches on our platform, only because of all the complexities associated with licensing and the user agreements and all that. But to kind of address that, a lot of work that we do is coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people seek advice from us in a coaching type of capacity, whether that's life coaching or just coaching around a decision or somebody who we love or we want help with. So I think that it's a great service for that. And you'll have access to a licensed professional who's providing you with the coaching.
Love it. I love it. It gets me, personally excited because that's what I enjoy the most is coaching and helping people with behavior change and adjustment issues. So I think that's really cool. And I'm assuming that as the therapist, when I decide to become a contractor, because that's what I would be, right? A contractor with
Yep.
your platform. Do I get to decide who I take and who I don't? Like is there sorry, I don't work with, those dealing with schizophrenia because it's really not I don't have training in that. I'd have to refer you out pretty quickly. Is there a screening for that before they come to
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. So the way that works is first, when clients are looking to match with someone, you'll
Mhm.
have your areas of expertise and kind of what you do. So that will first guide their selection. And then after you match up and you start the conversation, we tell all of our therapists to confirm the match. And what that means is you make sure you understand what they're looking for. You make sure that you're able to help them. And
Mhm.
if you're not, you just direct them back to Trusst, and then we help to rematch them with another clinician.
Oh.
The
Okay.
other thing that we offer is because of our capability for you to have a code so that you could provide it to anyone who you'd like to. Sometimes that's the way the filter happens because let's say somebody reaches out to you. And again, for all the listeners today, there's no better time than
Mhm.
to be thinking about how do I remotely connect with people right
Right.
now. And, many people who maybe you were working with in person, you can reach out to them and you say, hey, I'm on this platform. We can continue our work and conversation remotely through messaging. I'm going to send you a code. Just log in, type in the code. I'll pop up and then we can match.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so I do want to ask you if therapists want to know about the pay structure, should they just go to your website?
Oh, no, I can
Okay.
tell you right now,
Awesome.
because another thing about Trusst is, again, our brand, our ideas are about trust. We want therapists to trust that we understand the science, that we're there to support you, that we're going to do right by the data that we collect, and all of those things. And part of that is transparency. So we're very transparent about how we do payment. So the way that works is we have a very simple revenue share with clinicians. So for every patient, every person who's billed, we start at 50% revenue share with the clinician. And then the more the clinician uses the platform, the more we give you back. So we share up to 90% of all the revenue that you gain on the platform with you.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So just do the math, you guys. Just do the math.
Mhm.
That's really cool. I'm really excited for that. And I'm really excited for my peers, who decide that they want to jump in with Trust and be a part. So is there anything else that you would like to share with my listeners or, how they can learn more about maybe your research in telehealth and mental health?
Yeah, so a good resource might be my faculty page at Dartmouth. If you
Okay.
go to pbs.dartmouth.edu and
Mhm.
look for my picture under people or faculty, Bill Hudenko,
Mhm.
that'll show you some links to media coverage, some other areas that I've worked in digital health. So that could give you a little bit more information. And then, in terms of other, just thinking about this, whether you are a clinician or you're a patient, I just say give it a try
Yeah.
because it's not a lifetime commitment if you decide it's not a match for you. But I can tell you, in all the states and clinicians we've onboarded, we've actually only lost one clinician.
Oh,
And I think it's because of this environment that we want to foster around supporting our clinicians. It's around that people see it as a really great, valuable service. And I think, I have been on both sides. I've tried it out myself to see what it was like.
mhm.
And I've also done it with patients. And I think it's incredible. So
Yeah.
I'd say just keep your mind open. And there's no better time than right now to explore and see
Yeah.
if it is a good fit.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing about your research and about, what you do and how you help and about trust. This is just really, really incredible. And I'm grateful that we connected. So thank you.
And me too. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.